Hey, what's up guys, it's Darkroom Duels, and today we're going to be doing a Dream Mirror deck profile. So I'm really excited to see you guys because this deck is a super interesting deck that revolves around two amazing field spells. And depending on which one of those field spells is on the field, your monsters gain some really amazing effects. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards to the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon, along with test stands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, you're playing 3 copies of Neroy Dream Mirror Trader, which is a great 3 of in this deck. It has an amazing effect that has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Neroy the Dream Mirror Disciple from your deck to your hand. Then you can make this card become light. And you can treat one other Dream Mirror monster, and then choose one Dream Mirror monster from your deck, with a different level than the treated monster, and then add a Dream Mirror of Joy or Dream Mirror of Terror that's mentioned on that card's text from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect. And then you get to special summon the chosen monster into defense position, which is a great effect to be able to just turbo out multiple monsters onto your side of the field, with getting out the exact field spell that you need, which is super great for this deck. We then play 3 copies of Neroy the Dream Mirror Disciple, which is a really good card as well in this deck, that has the ability that if a Dream Mirror monster is on the field, then you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can make this card become dark, and if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Dream Mirror monster, activate this effect that if a Dream Mirror Joy is on the field, then you return a spell or trap your opponent controls to the hand. And also after that, if Dream Mirror of Terror is on the field, you get to draw a card and then shuffle 1 card from your hand into the deck, which is a really good effect for this deck. We then play 2 copies of the Dream Mirror Mara. You only need 2 copies of her in this particular build because the Dream Mirror Disciple and Trader have just become the best cards in this entire deck. But Dream Mirror Mara is a good 2-0 because she has the ability, if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Dream Mirror monster, you can special summon a Dream Mirror monster from your hand, except another copy of herself. And then during the main or battle phase, if Dream Mirror Joy is on the field, then you can quick effect attribute this card to special summon out a Dream Mirror Sprite from your deck to your side of the field, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just get out your Dream Mirror Sprite. We then play 2 copies of the Dream Mirror Sprite that has the ability, if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Dream Mirror monster, you can add a Dream Mirror card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. And then during the main or battle phase, if Dream Mirror of Terror is on the field, quick effect, you can treat this card to special summon out the Dream Mirror Mara from your deck. Basically, all of these cards tag out in between each other, which is a super cool concept. We then play a single copy of Morpheus the Dream Mirror Black Knight. This card is really good for the deck and a really good boss monster. It has the ability that if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Dream Mirror monster, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. And then during the main or battle phase, if Dream Mirror Joy is on the field, then quick effect, you can tribute this card to special summon out a Morpheus the Dream Mirror White Knight from your deck. We then play a single copy of Morpheus the Dream Mirror White Knight, which is a good 1 of in here. You only really need 1 of each of them because you don't want to draw into them. You want to special summon them off of other Dream Mirror's effects. And this card has the ability, if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Dream Mirror monster, you can activate this effect that during this turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, which is a pretty good effect. And then during the main or battle phase, if Dream Mirror Terror is in your field spell zone, quick effect, you can tribute this card to special summon out a Morpheus the Dream Mirror Black Knight from your deck, which is a really good effect. We then play 2 copies of Noah Punk Zeman. Zeman is a really good 2 of in here because this card basically helps you go into all sorts of different plays. I'm playing a small punk engine in this deck because it does help out a lot. Basically, you pay 600 life points to be able to search any punk monster you want from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect for this card. We then play a single copy of Madam Spider. Madam Spider lets you pay 600 life points to add a Punk Trap from your deck to your hand, which is a disruption, which is really good. It's a monster negate trap card, which is super good for this deck. We're then playing a single copy of Foxy Tune as well. Foxy Tune helps out a lot because this card basically, you discard this card and another card from your hand to be able to special summon out a Punk monster from the deck, which is pretty good to be able to just get 2 monsters on your side of the field, especially if you E-Telly the first one out to be able to not even use your normal normal summon to go into Needle Fiber to go in some insane plays. Since we are playing Needle Fiber in this deck, we're playing a single copy of Despot 01 because Despot 01 is really good in combo with Auroradon and your copies of your Needle Fiber just to get out some insane plays and get out some really good synchro plays in this deck. We're playing a single copy of Cult Wing as well because Cult Wing just helps out a lot to be able to get additional tokens on your side of the field and bring back your Despot 01 from the graveyard. We're then playing a single copy of Celestial and a copy of Dasher for the DPE package, which is super good in this deck, especially comboed with your copy of Artifact Scythe, because you're going to use your copy of DPE to pop your Artifact Scythe to basically stop the opponent from going into their extra deck during their turn, which is super, super good. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing quite a few spells in this deck. So we're going to be playing a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good just to stop our opponent from hand trapping us. I really love this card as a one-of in here, and it's really good to stop our opponent from hand trapping, especially since we special summon so many monsters from the deck. We then play two copies of Destiny Fusion. This card is a really good two-of in here to help us go in for DPE, which is always nice to be able to just go into that card as the last card in your combo and get a really powerful boss monster on the field. We then play three copies of E-Telly. E-Telly is here because this card basically lets us get out our copies of our punk monsters on our side of the field extremely quickly, which is always nice in this deck. We then play two copies of Dreamir of Chaos. This card is basically a fusion spell, but it has some really insane effects that you get to fusion summon a Dreamir fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters that you control as fusion materials. And if a Dreamir of Joy is on the field spell zone, then you can also use monsters in your hand as fusion material, and if a Dreamir of Terror is on the field, then you can banish monsters from your graveyard as fusion material, which is a pretty good effect to basically be able to use different materials in different zones depending on what you have on your field, which is always nice for this deck. We then play three copies of Dreamir Phantasms. Dreamir Phantasms is a really good card for this deck because this card has the ability that when this card is activated, you can add a Dreamir monster from your deck to your hand. And if Dreamir Joy is in the field spell zone, then all monsters that you control gain 500 attack. And if Dreamir Terror is in a field spell zone, all monsters that your opponent control lose 500 attack, which is actually pretty easy to do to be able to just throw the copy of Dreamir Terror or Dreamir Joy to your opponent while also keeping one of the other ones on your side of the field. It's really easy to do in this deck. We then play three copies of Dreamir of Joy. Dreamir Joy is a really good field spell, and what the entire deck revolves around is Dreamir of Terror and Dreamir of Joy. But this card has the ability that during the end phase, you can banish this card to activate a Dreamir of Terror directly from your hand or deck. And you can only use this effect of Dreamir of Joy once per turn. And Dreamir monsters you control cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects or their monsters' attacks, except your Dreamir monsters with the highest levels. And this effect is only applied while you control a light Dreamir monster. We then play three copies of Dreamir Terror, which is a really good field spell along with our Dreamir Joy that has the ability that during the end phase, you can manage this card to activate a Dreamir Joy directly from your hand or deck. And you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. And each time your opponent special summons a monster, you inflict 300 points of damage to your opponent. This can only be activated while you control a dark Dreamir monster, which is really nice, especially with our Disciple and Trader being able to turn into light or dark monsters depending on which one you have on your field, which is always nice for this deck. So that's it for the spell cards, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Dreamir Hypnagogia. This card is a good one-of in here. I was playing it in multiple in the deck, but I feel like one is totally fine. It lets you choose a Dreamir of Joy and a Dreamir Terror from your hand or deck, and place one in your field spell zone and the other in your opponent's field spell zone in face up, which is always nice because it basically forces the opponent to activate it so that you can have both of them on the field at the same time, so you get all the effects that you need. And then we play a single copy of Dangerous Gaboo. Dangerous Gaboo is really good in the deck because it's searchable off of Madam Spider, and it has the ability that you get to target an effect monster that your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end phase of this turn. Then if you control a punk monster, you gain life points equal to the target monster's original attack, which is pretty good to give you that life point gain just in case you do control a punk monster. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing two copies of the Dreamir Urkling. This card is a really good boss monster for the deck that has the ability that while face up on the field, this card is also treated as a dark monster, and you can only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn. That if another monster that you control is tributed except during the damage step, then you can target a card on the field and destroy it. And if this card in its own possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, then you can special summon one Dream Mirror monster from your graveyard except another copy of itself, which is a pretty good effect. We then play 2 copies of the Dream Mirror Tormentor. This card is a good 2 of as well. I feel like 2 and 2 is totally fine with these cards. I did consider playing 3 copies of the Tormentor though, because it's just such a good card. It takes 2 Dream Mirror monsters with different attributes to be able to fusion summon in this card, and then while face up on the field, this card is also treated as a light monster, and it has the ability that when a monster effect is activated while Dream Mirror of Terror is in the field spell zone, quick effect, you can negate the effect, which is really, really good, and a card that you're always going to want to have on the field because it's a walking negate. It also has the ability, if Dream Mirror Joy is on the field spell zone, quick effect, you can tribute this card to special summon one of the Dream Mirror Urklings from your extract and defense position, basically tagging out into your regular copy of your Dream Mirror monster. We're then going to be playing a single copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. This card is super easy to summon in this deck, and a really powerful boss monster that's basically going to pop your Artifact Scythe to be able to stop the opponent from going into the extract. One copy of Abyss Dweller, which is super easy to make with the Auroradon combo, and it's just a really good card to be able to lock down your opponent's graveyard. A single copy of Cicada King because it's super easy to make this card with your Dream Mirror Trader and Dream Mirror Disciple, and is a really good walking negate. One copy of Punk Amazing Dragon. This card is again super easy to make, very generic in this deck, and since we are playing a small Punk engine, you can make this very easily to get a double bounce or get a special summon of your Foxy Tune back from the graveyard to give you an additional monster on the field. We then play a single copy of Borreload Savage just to give us an additional negate in the deck, and it's also really easy to make with our combo with Auroradon. We then play a single copy of Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch is again really easy to make with our Auroradon combo to be able to go in for all sorts of different synchro plays and basically make it into a level 5 monster, increasing its level by the tuner monster's level, which is really, really nice. We then play a single copy of Herald of Arclight. Herald of Arclight is really good in this deck because basically what you're going to do with this card is overlay this and a copy of Cult Wing to go in for your Abyss Dweller to make a really powerful board. One copy of Auroradon for all of the Auroradon plays and shenanigans. One copy of Needle Fiber. Needle Fiber is really, really good in this deck because it's easy to summon, especially with your Dream Mirror Trader, and it's just such a good card to be able to get the exact cards that you need on the field. E-Telly basically makes full combo in this deck with any of the other 4 cards that you have in this deck. Is just really nice. Play a single copy of Artifact Dagda so we can get our Scythe on our side of the field really quickly, and a single copy of Verte Anaconda, because Verte Anaconda is basically here for Destiny Fusion, so we can go into Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play with. I highly recommend that if you guys have never played Dream Mirror, you definitely should, because it's a really, really fun deck. You can splash all sorts of different engines into it, and it's a super cool deck, especially now that we have the Dream Mirror Trader, which just makes this deck absolutely nuts. This card is so good in this deck and makes it really, really fun. So anyways, guys, this is Dark Arm Duels. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.